The night Dante Moretti chose his date for his brother's wedding, he didn't pick a model, an influencer, or the daughter of a politician. He walked into his own kitchen and pointed at the maid. Emma Collins froze with a glass in her hand, unsure if she had heard him correctly. Every muscle in her body locked, every thought disappeared. Dante Moretti never joked, he never smiled, and he never repeated himself. The mansion was silent except for the distant sound of security walking through the halls. It was almost midnight, and Emma was finishing her last shift, trying to stay unnoticed the way she always did. She liked blending into the background. She liked being invisible. But tonight, invisibility was impossible. Dante stood in the doorway, still wearing the black shirt and suit pants from a meeting that had gone too late. His sleeves were rolled up, revealing strong forearms and a silver watch that probably cost more than her entire life. His hair was slightly messy, his jaw tense, and his eyes were fixed on her with a strange intensity she had never seen on his face. "Sir," Emma whispered, because her voice simply wouldn't rise. He studied her as if making a decision that could not be undone. "You," he repeated. "You're coming with me to my brother's wedding." Her throat tightened. She had been cleaning the counters, her hair tied in a simple ponytail, her uniform wrinkled from long hours, hands smelling faintly of lemon detergent. She should not even be in the same room with him, much less in the middle of whatever this was. She placed the glass on the counter carefully, afraid her hands might shake. "I think you're mistaken, Mr. Moretti. I'm just the maid." Marcus Reed, Dante's right-hand man, was standing behind him, arms crossed, eyebrows raised. Even he looked shocked. Dante stepped fully into the kitchen, closing the distance. "I am not mistaken." Emma swallowed hard. "Why me?" His gaze swept over her slowly, not in a flirtatious way but in a calculating one. She felt exposed, even though she still wore her simple uniform and tired shoes. "Every woman who wants to be on my arm," he said, "has an agenda." She blinked. "I don't understand." "You don't want anything from me," he answered. "Not money, not power, not my name." His voice softened for a brief second. "You're the only person in this house who looks me in the eye without pretending." Emma's heart hammered. She had never heard him speak this openly. She wasn't even sure he had a heart until now. But before she could think of her response, a delicate older woman walked into the kitchen. Mrs. Moretti, Dante's aunt. She stopped immediately when she saw them. "Dante," she said carefully, "please tell me you chose a suitable date for the wedding. We cannot have people talking." He didn't look away from Emma. "I chose her." Mrs. Moretti followed his gaze, saw Emma, and nearly dropped the tray in her hands. "The maid?" she whispered, her voice full of disbelief. "You're taking the maid?" Marcus coughed into his hand to hide a laugh. Emma wanted to disappear into the floor. Dante nodded once, firm and final. "Yes, Emma Collins will accompany me." "But she's staff," his aunt insisted. "And the people attending the wedding are—" He cut her off. "I don't care what they are." Emma felt heat rising in her cheeks, embarrassment mixing with fear. She didn't belong in his world. She didn't belong in that conversation. Mrs. Moretti tried again. "Dante, you cannot be serious. Your date must reflect your status. You are the head of this family, and this is my choice." His voice carried a finality that ended the discussion immediately. Mrs. Moretti pressed her lips together and left the kitchen visibly upset. Emma took a shaky breath. "Mr. Moretti, I really don't think you're going," he said, lowering his voice. "Unless you're refusing." Her breath stopped. "Refusing him. Refusing the most feared man in the city. Refusing a man who could destroy lives with a single word. She could barely force her lips to move. "I'm not refusing. I'm not sure why you want me there." He took one step closer. "You make people underestimate you," he said. "That's an advantage. And tonight reminded me that I want someone beside me who doesn't lie to my face." She felt something heavy and warm twist inside her chest. No one had ever described her as someone worth choosing. Not once in her entire life. Emma looked down at the floor, searching for air. "I've never been to a wedding like yours. I don't know how to act around people like that. I don't have the right dress or that will be handled." He interrupted. "You won't go in your uniform." She nodded slowly, still confused, still overwhelmed. Marcus stepped forward. "Boss, are you sure?" "She'll be surrounded by press, politicians, business giants," I said. "My decision is final." Emma's stomach dropped. This felt wrong, dangerous even. Being close to Dante Moretti could put anyone in danger, especially someone like her, who carried secrets she barely understood herself. She rubbed her fingers together nervously. "Why me, Dante?" It was the first time she had ever said his first name. His eyes flickered with something unreadable. He leaned in slightly, his voice low and controlled. "Because every other woman sees a throne. You're the only one who sees the man sitting on it." She felt that sentence deep inside her bones. Marcus cleared his throat. "Emma, you should probably get some rest. Tomorrow will be intense. Tomorrow, the wedding, walking beside the most feared mafia boss in the country." Emma wasn't sure if she wanted to cry or run or hide. Dante turned away from her as if the topic was settled forever. "Be ready at 7 o'clock. A driver will pick you up. And Emma," she looked up quickly. "When you walk into that wedding on my arm," he said, eyes sharp and serious, "you're under my protection all night. Everyone will know that." Her breath trembled. "Okay." He nodded once more and left the kitchen with Marcus behind him. The moment the door closed, Emma's legs gave out. She sat at the small staff table and pressed a hand to her shaking chest. Protection, his world, his arm. She didn't fully understand what that meant, but she understood enough to be afraid. Breathing unevenly, she walked to the back hallway where lockers were kept. She opened hers quickly and pulled out a small photo she kept hidden behind her uniform. A photo of a different life, a different city, a different version of herself. She stared at it with wide, tense eyes. If someone recognized her at that wedding, if someone remembered what happened, if anyone connected her to the man she once ran from, everything could fall apart. She closed the locker with trembling fingers. Tomorrow she would walk into a world where she absolutely did not belong. Tomorrow, every eye in that room would be on her. And she had no idea what Dante Moretti had just dragged her into. But one question echoed through her mind as she finally headed toward her small bedroom. What exactly did being under his protection mean? And what price would she have to pay? Emma barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Dante standing in the kitchen doorway, his voice echoing in her head. "When you walk into that wedding on my arm, you're under my protection." She didn't understand his world. She didn't understand his reasons. But she understood one thing. There was no way back. By 6 o'clock in the morning, she was standing in front of the small mirror of the staff bathroom, still in her uniform, hair tied up, dark circles under her eyes. Nothing had changed on the outside, but inside, everything felt different. What kind of woman becomes the date of a mafia boss overnight? Certainly not her, but Dante didn't ask. He decided. At 7 sharp, the house shook with movement. Security walked faster. Staff whispered. A black SUV waited outside the staff entrance, not the main one. Emma stepped out slowly, heart pounding. Marcus Reed stood beside the SUV, checking his watch. "You're late by 2 minutes," he said, but without anger. He opened the door. "Get in." She sat quietly in the back seat as the car pulled away from the mansion. The city flashed by the windows, cold morning light reflecting on the glass buildings. "Where are we going?" Emma asked. Marcus glanced at her through the rearview mirror. "To make you look the part." 10 minutes later, the SUV stopped in front of an elegant boutique with dark-tinted windows. Emma had never been inside a place like this. The doors opened automatically, and a tall woman in a sleek black suit greeted them. "Miss Collins," she said smoothly, "we've been expecting you. My name is Isabella. Mr. Moretti sent explicit instructions. Please follow me." Emma exchanged a nervous glance with Marcus, who only nodded. Inside, the boutique was a blur of silk, satin, and soft lighting. Isabella guided her to a private room, where several dresses hung on elegant racks. "Mr. Moretti asked that you choose what feels right," Isabella said. "But if I may suggest..." She pulled forward a deep emerald gown, elegant and understated. "This would be stunning on you." Emma's fingers brushed the fabric. It was softer than anything she had ever worn. "This is too much," she whispered. "This is exactly enough," Isabella corrected gently. Hours passed in preparation. Hair, makeup, shoes, jewelry. Emma barely recognized herself in the mirror. The woman staring back looked confident, poised, beautiful. But inside, she still felt like the girl who scrubbed floors and hid from the world. When she stepped out of the boutique, Marcus was waiting by the SUV. He looked up, froze for a second, then gave a slight nod of approval. "He's going to lose his mind," Marcus muttered. Emma blushed. "Is that good or bad?" Marcus opened the door. "With Dante?" "Always both." The drive to the wedding venue was silent. Emma's heart pounded harder with every mile. The venue was a grand estate outside the city, surrounded by towering gates and security. As they pulled up, Emma saw luxury cars lined up, men in expensive suits, women dripping in diamonds. She didn't belong here, not even close. The SUV stopped at the entrance. Marcus turned to her. "Listen carefully," he said. "You're going to feel out of place. People will stare, some will whisper, some will judge, but remember one thing." "What?" Emma asked. "You're walking in with Dante Moretti. That means you matter. Act like it." Emma took a shaky breath and nodded. The door opened. Marcus stepped out first, then extended his hand to her. She took it and stepped onto the red carpet. Cameras flashed immediately. Voices shouted, "Who is she? Is that Moretti's date?" Emma's vision blurred with panic. Then she heard a voice. "Emma." She turned. Dante stood at the top of the steps, hands in his pockets, looking at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. He walked down slowly, never breaking eye contact. When he reached her, he extended his hand. "You look perfect," he said quietly. She placed her hand in his. "I feel like I'm going to faint." He smiled slightly. "Then I'll catch you." He led her up the steps, through the crowd, into the grand hall. Every person they passed turned to stare. Whispers followed them like shadows. But Dante didn't flinch. He kept his hand firmly around hers, guiding her through the chaos. Inside, the wedding was breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, flowers everywhere. Emma had never seen anything like it. Dante leaned close to her ear. "Stay by my side. Don't talk to anyone unless I'm with you." She nodded quickly. The ceremony began. Dante's brother stood at the altar, smiling at his bride. Emma watched, trying to focus, but her mind kept wandering. What was she doing here? Why did Dante choose her? And what would happen when this night was over? After the ceremony, the reception began. Music filled the hall. People danced, laughed, drank champagne. Emma stood near Dante, trying to stay invisible again. But invisibility was impossible when you were standing next to the most powerful man in the room. A woman in a silver dress approached them, smiling too brightly. "Dante," she purred. "I didn't expect to see you here with—" She glanced at Emma. "Someone new." Dante's jaw tightened. "Careful, Victoria." Victoria's smile didn't fade. "I'm just surprised. She doesn't seem like your usual type." "She's not," Dante said coldly. "She's better." Victoria's smile finally cracked. She turned and walked away. Emma exhaled slowly. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes," Dante said. "I did." More people approached throughout the night. Business partners, politicians, old rivals. Each one stared at Emma with curiosity, suspicion, or disdain. But Dante never let go of her hand. He introduced her simply. "This is Emma. She's with me." That was all he ever said. And somehow, it was enough. Hours later, Emma excused herself to the restroom. She needed a moment alone, a moment to breathe. But as she walked through the quiet hallway, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned quickly. A man stood there, tall, blonde, smiling in a way that made her stomach turn. "Emma Collins," he said. Her blood went cold. "Do I know you?" she whispered. He stepped closer. "You don't remember me?" "That hurts. We met a long time ago, back when you were running from someone." Her heart stopped. "Who are you?" "The name's Kyle Porter," he said, "and I know who you really are." Panic flooded her chest. She turned to run, but he grabbed her wrist. "Not so fast." Suddenly, a hand shot out and shoved Kyle back against the wall. Dante. His eyes were dark with fury. "Touch her again," Dante growled, "and I'll break every bone in your hand." Kyle raised his hands in mock surrender. "Relax, Moretti. I was just having a conversation." "No," Dante said. "You were threatening her. There's a difference." Kyle smirked. "She didn't tell you, did she? About her past, about the man she's hiding from." Dante's expression didn't change. "I know everything I need to know." Kyle laughed. "Really? Did she tell you about the night she witnessed a murder? Did she tell you that she's been running for years?" Emma's vision blurred. Tears stung her eyes. Dante stepped closer to Kyle, his voice deadly calm. "Whatever you think you know, forget it. She's under my protection now. That means if you even think about her again, I'll make sure you regret it." Kyle's smirk faded. He glanced between Dante and Emma, then backed away slowly. "Fine," Kyle muttered. "But you should ask her about Chicago, about what she saw, about what she's hiding." He turned and disappeared down the hallway. Emma's legs gave out. She leaned against the wall, gasping for air. Dante turned to her immediately. "Emma, look at me." She couldn't. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to bring trouble to you." He cupped her face gently. "You didn't bring trouble. Trouble found you. There's a difference." "But he knows," she sobbed. "He knows everything." "Then we deal with it," Dante said firmly. "Together." She looked up at him, eyes wide and terrified. "Why are you doing this? Why are you protecting me?" He studied her for a long moment. "Because," he said softly, "you're the first real thing I've had in years." Her breath caught. Before she could respond, Marcus appeared at the end of the hallway. "Boss," he said urgently, "we have a problem." Dante's jaw tightened. "What kind of problem?" "Kyle Porter just left the venue, but he didn't leave alone. He's meeting with someone outside. Someone we know. Dante turned to Emma. Stay here with Marcus. No, Emma said quickly. I'm not leaving you. He looked at her, surprised. Emma, I said no, she repeated, voice stronger this time. If this is about me, then I'm coming with you. Dante studied her, then nodded slowly. Fine, but you stay behind me. Always. The three of them walked quickly through the hall, out a side exit, into the cold night air. A black car was parked near the edge of the estate. Kyle Porter stood beside it, talking to another man. A man Emma recognized immediately. Her face went pale. That's him, she whispered. That's the man I ran from. Dante's eyes darkened. His name? Ryan Cross, Emma said, voice trembling. He's the one who killed someone. He's the one who's been hunting me. Dante looked at Marcus. Get the car, now. Marcus disappeared. Dante turned to Emma. You're going to stay in the car with Marcus. You're not going near that man. But no, Dante said firmly. This is not a negotiation. Emma wanted to argue, but the look in his eyes stopped her. He wasn't just being protective. He was being strategic. Marcus pulled up in the SUV. Dante opened the door and guided Emma inside. Lock the doors, he told Marcus. Don't open them for anyone except me. What are you going to do? Emma asked, panicking. Dante looked at her, his expression unreadable. I'm going to end this. He closed the door before she could respond. Emma watched through the tinted window as Dante walked toward Ryan Cross and Kyle Porter. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might explode. Dante stopped a few feet away from them. Ryan turned, smirking. Dante Moretti, Ryan said. I've heard a lot about you. Funny, Dante replied. I've heard nothing about you, which means you're nobody. Ryan's smirk faded. I'm somebody to her, he said, nodding toward the SUV. She owes me answers. She owes you nothing, Dante said coldly. Kyle stepped forward. Come on, Moretti. This doesn't concern you. Just hand her over and we'll leave peacefully. Dante laughed, but there was no humor in it. You think I'm going to hand her over? To you? Ryan pulled out a gun. Emma gasped inside the car. Marcus immediately started the engine. Boss, Marcus muttered into his earpiece. I'm moving. No! Dante's voice crackled back. Stay put. Dante didn't even flinch at the gun. He stepped closer. You want her, Dante said. Then you'll have to go through me first. Ryan aimed the gun at Dante's chest. That can be arranged. Suddenly, several men appeared from the shadows. Dante's men. They surrounded Ryan and Kyle, weapons drawn. Ryan froze. Kyle's face went pale. You were saying? Dante asked, voice calm. Ryan lowered his gun slowly. This isn't over. Yes, Dante said. It is. You're going to leave this city, tonight, and you're never going to think about Emma Collins again. Ryan laughed bitterly. And if I don't? Dante stepped closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Then, I'll make sure you disappear. Permanently. The silence stretched. Finally, Ryan backed down. He tossed the gun to the ground and got into his car. Kyle followed quickly. The car sped away into the night. Dante turned and walked back to the SUV. Emma threw open the door and ran to him. Are you insane? She shouted, tears streaming down her face. He had a gun. Dante caught her in his arms. I'm fine. You could have died. He cupped her face. But I didn't, and neither did you. That's all that matters. She sobbed against his chest. I don't understand you. You don't have to, he murmured. You just have to trust me. She looked up at him, eyes red and swollen. Why do you care so much? He brushed a tear from her cheek. Because, he said softly. Somewhere between the kitchen and tonight, you became the only thing that matters to me. Her breath hitched. Dante. I know, he whispered. I know it doesn't make sense. I know this whole thing is insane, but I don't care. I don't care about logic or reason or what anyone thinks. I care about you. Her heart shattered and rebuilt itself all at once. I care about you too, she whispered. He smiled, a real genuine smile, and kissed her forehead. Then that's enough. Marcus cleared his throat from the car. Boss, we should go. The venue's going to notice you're gone. Dante nodded. He guided Emma back to the SUV, keeping his arm around her the entire time. As they drove away from the estate, Emma leaned against him, exhausted and overwhelmed. What happens now? She asked quietly. Dante looked down at her. Now, he said, we go home, and we figure out the rest tomorrow. She closed her eyes, feeling safe for the first time in years. The night was over. The danger was over. But the story, their story, was just beginning. The next morning, Emma woke up in a bedroom she didn't recognize. Sunlight streamed through the curtains. The bed was soft, the sheets expensive. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she remembered. The wedding, the confrontation. Dante. She sat up quickly, heart racing. The door opened, and Dante walked in, carrying a tray with coffee and food. You're awake, he said. She stared at him. Where am I? My room, he said simply. You fell asleep in the car. I didn't want to wake you. She blushed. You should have. He set the tray down on the bedside table. Why? So you could panic and insist on going back to your tiny staff room. She looked away. I don't belong here. Yes, he said firmly. You do. She met his eyes. Dante, last night was real, he interrupted. It was real. And it's not going away just because the sun came up. She swallowed hard. What are we doing? He sat on the edge of the bed. We're figuring it out. Together. She wanted to argue, but the look in his eyes stopped her. He wasn't playing games. He wasn't pretending. This was real. I'm scared, she admitted. Good, he said. So am I. She blinked. You? Scared. He smiled slightly. Terrified. I've faced criminals, rivals, enemies. But you? You scare me more than all of them combined. Why? Because, he said, I've never cared this much about losing something before. Her heart squeezed. She reached out and took his hand. You're not going to lose me. He squeezed back. Promise. Promise. He leaned forward and kissed her, soft and slow. When he pulled back, he rested his forehead against hers. Then we're going to be okay. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Yeah, we are. Outside, the world continued. Threats would come, challenges would arise. But for now, in this moment, they had each other, and that was enough. Boss, we don't know how many of them there are, another guard warned. We'll find out, Dante said. We adapt. Emma stood by the wall, arms tense. Why do I need to be there? She asked. I don't want to stand between you and danger. Dante turned to her. You're not between me and danger, he said softly. You're the reason I'm walking into it. Her heart squeezed. But that's exactly what terrifies me, she whispered. He approached her slowly until their faces were inches apart. I don't lose what's mine, he said quietly. Emma's breath hitched. Am I? She couldn't finish. A muscle in his jaw twitched. Yes, he said. You are. Heat flooded her chest. He took her hand. Stay close to me tonight. That's all I ask. She nodded shakily. I will. Hours later, 3 SUVs rolled out of the mansion. Emma sat between Dante and Marcus in the back seat. The city lights flickered against the windows as they approached the docks, Dante held her hand the entire ride, not possessively, not for control, to reassure her, to reassure himself. The docks appeared in the distance, dark, cold, empty. Marcus leaned forward. "We have movement. 2 men by the entrance. Armed?" Dante asked. "Probably." "Good." Dante stepped out first, scanning the shadows. Emma stepped out behind him, her legs shaking. "Stay right behind me," he murmured. The warehouse door creaked open, and Kyle Porter walked out smiling. He spread his arms. "Well, well, Moretti and the princess of the evening." Dante blocked Emma instantly with his arm. "Say one more thing about her," he growled. "And I'll end this right now." Kyle smirked. "Touchy. You know, I didn't expect such loyalty from you. You don't strike me as the kind of man who risks his empire for a girl. She's not a girl." Dante snapped. She's the only honest person in this entire street." Kyle laughed. "Honest? She ran from me, lied, hid, watched things she shouldn't. She survived you," Dante corrected. Kyle's eyes flickered with annoyance. He motioned to a man behind him. The man stepped forward, holding something in his hands. A phone. Kyle pressed play. A recording echoed through the cold air. A voice. Emma's voice, trembling, scared, whispering into a phone in a small apartment years ago. "He's following me. Heard someone behind the cafe. He won't stop looking for me." "I don't know what to do." Emma covered her mouth, horrified. Dante froze. Kyle tilted his head. "She panicked. She left evidence. And that evidence belongs to me." "Shut it off," Dante ordered. Kyle smirked but obeyed. "You see," he continued, "she's dangerous. To me, to you. If she talks, she ruins you. If she dies, she ruins me. We're both stuck." "No," Dante said, pulling Emma closer. "The only one stuck is you." Kyle chuckled. "How do you figure?" "Because she's under my protection," Dante said. "Which means touching her is touching me. And that's the last mistake you'd ever make." Kyle's smile faded. "So what now?" he asked. "You kill me, you walk away, you pretend she's not a threat." "No," Dante said. "We end this in a way you didn't expect." Emma looked up at him, confused. Dante reached into his jacket and pulled out. Not a weapon, not evidence, but his phone. He showed Kyle the screen, a video. Kyle frowned. "What's that?" "Your mistake," Dante said. On the screen, security footage played. Kyle himself 2 years ago in the cafe alley. The assault, the threats, the crime Emma witnessed. Kyle's face went pale. "How did you?" "You were sloppy," Dante said. "And I collect things too." Kyle's voice cracked. "Delete it." "No! You want to trade?" Kyle spat. "You give me Emma. I give you silence." Dante stepped forward. "No," he said. "I give you a choice." Kyle blinked. "You walk away." Dante continued. "Leave this city, leave her alone forever, and I let you breathe." Kyle scoffed. "And if I don't?" Dante smiled without humor. "Then I send this video to the police, the FBI, every prosecutor in the state, and you'll spend the rest of your life explaining why you almost killed a man behind a cafe." Kyle opened his mouth, but no words came out. He wasn't used to losing. "Choose," Dante said. The seconds dragged. Finally, Kyle's shoulders slumped. "You win," he muttered. "I'll leave." Dante nodded once. "Go." Kyle glared at Emma one last time, but didn't speak. He turned and walked back into the warehouse with his men. Marcus exhaled loudly behind them. "That's it," Emma whispered. "It's over." Dante looked down at her. "No," he said softly. "Now it's my turn." Back at the mansion, Emma felt exhausted and shaky. She could barely stand when they reached the living room. Dante turned to her. "You're safe," he said. "Because of you," she whispered. He shook his head. No, because you survived long enough for me to find you. Emma felt tears burning her eyes. You shouldn't risk everything for someone like me. He stepped closer, voice low. I didn't risk everything, he said. I chose what mattered. She blinked. What matters? You, he said. Her heart stopped. He cupped her face gently, searching her expression. You walked into that wedding in emerald, he murmured, and I swear, Emma, I haven't been the same since. Her breath caught. You were the only person who never wanted anything from me. You didn't look at my world with greed. You looked at me with fear and honesty, and that's the moment I realized. He swallowed that I wanted to protect you, even if it cost me everything. Emma's tears fell silently. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Say you're not leaving, he murmured. She took a shaky breath. I'm not leaving. His forehead touched hers gently. And say you're mine, he said softly, voice trembling in a way she had never heard from him. Emma lifted her hands to his chest. I've been yours, she whispered, from the moment you walked into that kitchen. His breath hitched. He pulled her into his arms, holding her like she was the first real thing he had ever touched. Emma clung to him, the fear and tension melting out of her body. She felt safe for the first time in years, truly safe. After a long moment, Dante pulled back enough to look at her. Emma Collins, he said, you came to a wedding as my date. She smiled weakly through her tears and shocked everyone. He brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. You shocked me too, he admitted. Her heart swelled. Good, she whispered. Then we're even. He smiled, a real genuine smile, and kissed her forehead. As he guided her toward his room, his hand in hers, she realized something. She had survived, she had fought, and she had found someone who fought for her too. She wasn't the maid he chose for convenience. She was the woman he chose for everything. Emma looked up at him, her fingers intertwined with his. Dante, she whispered. What happens now? He opened the door to his room and pulled her inside. Now, he said softly, I show you what forever looks like. And as the door closed, the world outside finally quieted. The danger was gone. The fear was gone. The past was gone. Only the future remained. A future where the maid in the emerald dress wasn't just the Mafia boss's date. She was his forever. If this kind of story speaks to you, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's the simplest way to show that you'd like to see more. Take a moment to join our community of people who appreciate meaningful, emotional storytelling. Your support truly makes a difference and helps us keep bringing these stories to life.